Whoa, whoa, whoa. Stop right there. This channel is not intended for kids under the age of 13. So if you're under the age of 13, please leave.
Hey everybody, Arthur here with another unboxing video. Today we have a big one today, and it's from the good old Four Horsemen. We got Mythic Legion's Arethyr and his blazing steed Aethon from the Arethyr wave, and this was out of all of them, this was what I needed. He is the Dark Lord, he is the leader of the Arethyr faction, and I needed him to lead his goblin army. I mean, we have the Goblin King, but we need the Dark Lord to lead his armies. The right side of the box, we get this amazing artwork of a horse, castle in the background. Just a nice painting with the faction logo of Arethyr. Here you got the left side of the box with some websites to check out and continue with that amazing paint work and artwork, whatever you want to classify it as. It looks badass. Aethon looks so menacing, and like if you saw that horse on the battlefield, I mean, I think it'd make you poop yourself. And then we do have some read-up information as well. Let me zoom in there. So go ahead and feel free to pause it if you'd like to read up. On the back of the box, we got this amazing artwork. And I mean, the Four Horsemen know what they're doing when they get their artwork done on their packaging. Like, this is straight out of a D&D book almost. Like, this artwork's amazing. And I love how Arethyr's just standing there with the ring of fire around him, flaming sword, flaming head. He just looks like he's going to conquer everything he comes across. And what's cool is you can see he's not by himself. He's actually with three other demons. You can see their eyes glowing. And I wonder if this is like a little hint or future figures we're going to see from the Four Horsemen. Also on the back of the box, we do have more read-up information, so feel free to pause it if you'd like to read it. Just like a lot of the other Mythic Legions out there, we get some adapter pieces to plug in the back. This one's for a shield. Then we have a little one for little wings. And then we get a bigger one for the big wings. Now, Arethyr actually comes with a pair of big-ass wings, and it's going to make that back adapter come in handy, and these things look amazing. I know with this wave, they were selling some of the wings separately, but he came packed with one, one pair, and you get some articulation like this out of it, and then it does have a little disc hinge down here once you plug it in to move it in and out. So these things look amazing. They're painted very well. The transition from the yellow and orange and red on camera, it just doesn't really do it justice compared to when you have it in hand. And even on the back, they did some dry brushing and stuff, and the texturing throughout. The wings look amazing. We got ourselves a pair of metal shields. They're sculpted great. They're painted nice and metallic. They look like they're metal. And then on the inside, they still look metal, and you get that like corncob pipe type of handle. These are actually feel like they're glued in, so you can't really take those off. And I mean, you might be able to heat it up, take it off there, but I'm not too concerned about it. But you do get handles on each shield. And if a pair of shields weren't enough, we do get a pair of swords. They're exactly the same sculpt, painted pretty much identical. The dry brushing is a little bit different per handle because you're not going to get those exact. But they look pretty awesome. And you can never have enough shields and swords with your Mythic Legions figures, or you can even use these with non-Mythic Legion figures. Here we got Arethyr's sword, and his blade looks awesome. The hilt has like a skull on it. Sculpt work is definitely there. It looks so vicious. It's done in like a gray gunmetal, like sort of highlights on it. Sort of like dry brushing through the handle, but other than that, the handle's pretty matte, but the blade is all that gunmetal metallic paint, except for the little centerpiece towards the handle. This sword looks badass. It actually reminds me of Frostmourne from World of Warcraft on how it looks. And if that's not, if this doesn't impress you by itself, you get this nice attachment piece. Just attaches to the blade, so you can have yourself a flaming blade. Sounds like you get a flaming bay, but you get a flaming blade with this, and it looks even more vicious. What's crazy though, if you go back and watch some of their like prototype reveals of the videos showing this figure, they actually had a sword where the whole blade itself was looking like it was like hot metal and stuff. So I wonder what made them change that. Arethyr comes with some of the most impressive pauldrons I've seen on Mythic Legion figures. It's like this giant demon dragon head, and it is sculpted to the T. It looks so freaking badass. The horns coming out, the spikes, the metallic like orange eyes. Even has gauges in the ears of this armor as well. Not so much on this side because this plugs into the back, but man, 4 horsemen, they take action figures to a whole different level with their sculpt work. Arethyr up close looks pretty badass. I like his like armor that's on his face with the visor, the metal jaw. His horns look great. They're sculpted great, dry brushed. He's got the flame on his head. And the flame does transition from more of like a yellowish orange up to a darker orange at the top. It just looks badass. Look at his teeth. And even there's like little teeth on the actual visor. And the visor does have a little bit of articulation, not much. It's like nom 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 right there. He does have some see-through gauges in those earlobes. It's a really cool addition to those demon ears. Looks very, very badass. I mean, if he's going to be a leader of a faction and he's a Dark Lord, like, you got to make sure that he looks like he's ready to destroy everything. He's got that metallic armor sort of wrapping around to the back. And you can see he came with the Pauldrons equipped. I just took them off, but we do get 2 of those brown leather straps that were actually crossed over onto him like this. I'm debating if I want to keep them on him or if I want to take them off, because there's awesome sculpt work for the chest and some nice gradation from the orange and the yellows on his chest and everything. All that musculature sort of being hidden by those little tan chest straps. And his armor, I mean, some of the stuff we have seen before. The armor on his arms, we've seen it before, but it looks great. Again, look at all the art, like the sculpt work. Got the chainmail sculpted. It's dry brush with all that metallic silver. It looks badass. They make their armor look awesome. Speaking of looking awesome, look at his belt. He's got a demon head on his belt. It's like it's just like straight up, you see him come on the battlefield, like I would be pissing my pants. Such a cool looking belt. And I love how they do the leather on it. The leather has texture stuff. It looks like it's leather. They paint all the little bits, all the little like rivets and stuff like that on the belt. When it comes to Mythic Legions, 4 horsemen are not scared to add washes and to paint and to add texture and sculpt. That is something you can expect from their figures. When you get the army builders, they may not have as much paint because they're army builders. That's sort of the whole purpose. And again, they just look awesome. We've seen these boots before as well. So a lot of reuse with this guy, but it's done properly. Like they know what they're doing when they come to reusing parts with their figures. And lift up the strap there. Even got nice paint on the thighs and everything. The dude just looks freaking ferocious. Now I saved the best for last because I wanted to show you guys his face without the visor on, and that face is wicked. It's scary. He's got these little beady eyes right there looking all crazy, but then I do have a little bit of extra paint from his teeth up on his lip, which bugs me a little bit, but with the visor on you can't really see it. But the head sculpt that they put on this bad boy is so freaking badass. Let's go ahead and dive into some articulation. His head is just on a ball joint, but as you can see, tons of range and everything with this figure. Can look up and down quite a bit. Bunch of attitude. It's great. Arms can go up like so. They can actually do a full 360. We don't get any bicep swivel, but we do get elbow bend. And it's not, there we go, it's focused. Elbow bend, and we pivot at the elbow, wrist, actually forearm rotation. We get some wrist rotation as well, and we do get wrist bend. It's the same with both arms. And as you can see, the armor is all underneath the skin, so you're not worrying about it damaging the skin and stuff like that. We got a ball for the waist, so he can hula hoop. But you get all the type of motion you'd want with just a little ball. It's great. Legs. He can do the splits. He can almost do the full Van Damme. He has little thigh cuts up at the top, as you can see right there. And he can kick up, do a Spartan kick. He's got some knee bend. And he does pivot at the knee, like you can move it there. Pivot at the ankle and bend at the ankle. Again, it's blurring. There we go. But yeah, all the articulation you really want when it comes to these types of figures, and he is buttery smooth. Can we take some time to admire how badass this figure looks? I added the pauldrons on. I kept those straps off again just because the sculpt work and the transition of the color on his chest looks very badass. The flaming sword in his hand looks great. Like, if you saw this dude coming at you on a battlefield, you wouldn't want to. You'd probably want to turn around and run away. It is a cool piece. The pauldrons definitely add to it, make them even seem more intimidating. And it's such a cool piece. I knew when I saw it, it was a must-have for me because it's just, it's awesome. Like, one, it fits with the faction. I started with goblins, and then come to find out the goblins are part of the Arethyr faction, and, well, you gotta have Arethyr, and if you're gonna have some goblin armies, you gotta have their main leader, and, yeah, this dude just looks wicked. Arethyr with his armor, weapon, and wings, oh my. Oh my. It is such a cool-looking figure. I mean, as I'm reviewing this figure, I'm just like, my jaw is constantly just on the table because I just can't get over the amount of work they put into this figure. And it's fantastic. I mean, I can't get over the wings having like holes and stuff in it, the quality of it. Now, he is standing on his own with those wings. They do add weight. So I do have him leaning forward a little bit because he is buttery smooth. So his upper, area, if I lean him back, you can see he just wants to lean back. But let me flip him around so you can see how the wings look. One thing, and I hope they fix it down the road, this adapter piece. Like, I want pauldrons like on him and the wings. So you could technically remove the pauldrons, put the wings where the pauldrons go, and just have him flying around and with his wings that way. But I want both because I'm greedy. I wish this piece was red like the wings, and it would have blended in with the actual character instead of just a big old glob of silver plastic crammed in his back. But again, you can sort of see he's leaning back. So you got to keep moving him forward and sort of add a lean forward to him a little bit to get him to stand. But once you do, it looks great. Here we have Arethyr, Steed, Aethon, and Aethon looks amazing. It's just like when you're looking at Four Horsemen and their sculpt work, it's like you could do demons and goblins and all these crazy guys in armor, but then like they do something like this, which is just like, holy crap. You guys made a horse. Not just a normal horse, you made like a flaming demon horse. Got like flaming hooves and mane and stuff. Looks very badass. It's casted in that red plastic with some dark red dry brushing throughout, or well, airbrushing, not really dry brushing. And it's just packed full of detail and sculpt work. And we're gonna have to dive into little sections of Aethon here because it's such a big piece. I mean, just to give you an example, I'm gonna bust out Arethyr and just sort of have him stand right there so you guys can really see how big Aethon is to his master. Now, looking a little bit closer at Aethon's head sculpt, and it looks awesome. He's got the yellow beady eyes just like Arethyr. He's got this awesome horn that's going down. It's got cracks and stuff through it. It looks like bone, and it is attached to the harness, like the whole head armor and stuff, which I'm sure you can actually work at it and get the actual armor and stuff off. But I mean, I'm not going to. You got this like screaming face on it. It has his tongue painted. The teeth look great. Now, when they're doing that face, like as if he's like pulling back on the reins, I would have thought they had like a metal thing in between their mouth attaching this part to it. So I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be. I'm not like a horse expert or anything, but if anybody is familiar with horses and riding and stuff like that, do they normally have like a bar that attaches to this, and it like goes in between their mouth? I'm thinking it does. But again, sculpt work, awesome. The leather strapping looks great on the head. And what's cool is I didn't get Equidon or whatever the logo for Four Horsemen character was. I just didn't have the funds. But you can pop this head off and put that one on. So if you have either of the Equidons, the shadow version or whatever, and I'm probably saying the name wrong. I'm not an expert on how to pronounce some of these names, but I did look up how to pronounce this horse because I was like, I got to make sure I say it right. And yeah, this is awesome. I love the little chain here. This is actually a metal chain that goes all the way down, all the way back, so you can, have Arethyr holding on to it. We get some nice, like, Celtic looking sculpt work into the leather around here with some fur sculpted in. And Arethyr can't be the only one with the little demon crest, so he has a little like bronze version, very similar to what's on Arethyr's belt. And again, just the detail, like you could see the texture. They sculpt leather texture so freaking well. And then we get into the saddle. The saddle is freaking gorgeous. They added all the paints, the sculpts, the straps, everything you'd want in a saddle, and it even has that sculpt work on the like on the side as well. We do get a little demonic bedroll. This thing plugs in, and it's very loose fitting, so it does fall out. But he does have a bedroll, so Arethyr does sleep, I guess. Looking great. Looks great on the other side. Uh-oh. Looks like I unhooked the actual saddle. After a little bit of a struggle trying to get the saddle back on because that belt had a little plug they had to pop in. And honestly, it give you an example. It reminds me of like the old school Ninja Turtle type of belts where you had to like pop it in and it just wouldn't stay. But finally I got it. And in the process, I did realize that these are able to be moved. And so is this part. So this is plugged in and you're able to move it back and forth. As you see, it wants to pop out, but you just push it in. So you get some articulation out of that. And again, bedroll is very loose, but overall looks great. You can see that there's like actual sculpted in hair on this actual figure. Look at it. It's textured throughout. It's great. It's very great. And then we got his butt. His butt right there. And the butt looks good. But the tail looks really good. Tail's articulated. Can sway it back and forth, up and down. And one thing that was sort of a bummer on mine, how they had it like tied into it. You can see like where the tie was wrapped around it, sort of indented the tail a little bit. A little bit of a bummer. A little bit of a bummer. And we can take a closer look at these hooves here. Again, all the details where it needs to be. That bedroll just fell. Told you, it's just not stuck in there as nice. But hooves look great. Now, diving into articulation, this guy has a lot of articulation. So his head can look up and down, left and right. So all the motion you'd want out of his head. But then he even has neck motion. So his head can, again, pivot all around, twist a little bit. But then his neck has articulation as well. So he can look down, look up. I mean, that's sort of his range of motion right there. Front legs, there's no left and right. They're just on disc hinge, so they can go forward like so. And as you can see, all the stuff sort of popping out of their holes because, I mean, you got to show articulation, got to be a little bit rough. He does have a swivel right there. We get the knee bend. We get hoof bend. And it pivots there as well. Hooves don't really seem to have anything below. Let me see. Yeah, nothing there. Legs, they can't go back, but you can get them to go forward, I guess, if you wanted to. Same with this other part. Pivots there. Doesn't feel like it. Yeah, pivots up here too. If you can stop seeing blurriness. And you can get the back part to move. So you can see the back moves. I mean, typical articulation you'd want out of the horses. And they got the horse like hoof ankle bend type of stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of articulation. And you can get them to pretty much pose up pretty nice. It's my first time trying to get them to stand with one hoof up. And you can't really see it because my stuff is angled. But you can see his hoof is off the ground and it's supporting it. I'm always very skeptical when it comes to these types of big pieces with this amount of articulation because my Sideshow Collectibles timber that came with Snake Eyes had tons of articulation, but the weight of the plastic and everything and the joints, it just made them melt and crumble. And it's nice to see something this big be able to withstand its own poses and stuff like that. So it's definitely a nice piece. Now, one thing I wanted to bring to light is the shields and swords that we got. Those are cool that we got them, but they're not just extra shields and swords that you can use with other figures. They actually can go on the horse. So those straps that you saw weren't just there for decoration. You could actually utilize them. So I had the shield sort of hooked up in here and the sword on the front, or you could just sort of take it out. You know, the sword again on the front, you could sort of rig it underneath and have it go this way. You know, however you want to have your sword. Or you can have the sword on the back right here. And then I'm sure you can rig up the shield to go up front. So however you want your extra accessories to be, you can have it. Or you can just not have them on there at all. That's definitely up to you. You could definitely get Arethyr to be able to utilize his steed Aethon, and honestly, it looks pretty badass. Now, I'm not going to lie. If you're going to have the wings on him, it's going to add tons of weight to his back, and trying to get him to stay standing up firm on the actual steed is going to be, it's a challenge, you know, trying to get him just right, because that's a lot of weight in his ab. The ball joint down there is like buttery smooth. You can get him to pose and articulate, but it sort of gives because of all that weight, and he'll just like fall back. So you do have to work at it, but now that he's on there pretty sturdy. And word of advice, if you're going to get him to be riding his horse, you want to make sure to take out his little crotch flap. It's very important. You take that off, or else you're going to be bending it, and it's just not going to want to work very well. So make sure you pop this bad boy off. So when it boils down to 4 horsemen, Mythic Legions, I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed whatsoever in this figure, even with some of the weight balancing issues, the sculpt, the paintwork, everything on Arethyr and Aethon it's amazing. It's top notch, high quality stuff. And if you missed out on them, make sure you guys go and try to get a hold of them. In my opinion, if you're into that like mythical, like medieval type of stuff and fantasy type of stuff, definitely you want to pick this setup. It's probably one of the best things out of that whole wave that came out, with the amount of detail and stuff. But that whole wave is amazing. But that sums up my unboxing and review of Mythic Legions, Arethyr and Aethon. If you guys like what you saw, hit that thumbs up. New to my channel, hit that subscribe button for me. And if you want to know when I post up a new video, hit that silver bell notification. It keeps you in the know with when I post up a new video. And also, check out Toyco Toys and Collectibles. The website's down below, and there's a promo code just for you guys to get free shipping on anything you see on the website. And there is a Facebook group. It's a pre-order Facebook group for Toyco that allows you to join in for free and see what's coming out. And if you see something that's coming out that you want to get a hold of, you can pre-order it. And honestly, Toyco has some of the best pre-order prices around. So definitely check it out. And I want you guys to have the best luck hunting. Keep on collecting and have a beautiful day.